Under his tenure, over 5 billion seedlings were planted. So the forest in Florida grew exponentially during his tenure, and they were safer too because of his efforts in prescribed burning and wildfire protection.
It's not a job, it's who you are, it's what you do every day, and it's what you wake up thinking about.
They're probably about the oldest trees around that were planted. And that was, that was in 1943, my senior year in high school. It makes me feel a little old sometimes, but then it makes me feel good.
Harold Mikell can't help but admire this tall stand of pine trees outside the Farm Credit Office in Trenton. Planted by Harold in his senior year of high school as a Future Farmers of America project, the seedlings now tower over the property that was once an open field. Today, the longleaf pines stand as sentinels, marking the spot where Harold's 75-year journey in agriculture began. From the moment he planted those pines, Harold dreamed of becoming a forester. But like so many of his generation, his dreams were put on hold when, straight out of high school, he enlisted in the Naval Air Corps during World War II. Harold and his crew flew missions in the Pacific Theater. After the war, Harold attended the University of Florida's forestry school. Eager to begin this next phase of his life, Harold received a Bachelor of Science degree, married his childhood sweetheart Juanita Beauchamp, and started his career with the Florida Forestry Service all within the same month, when Florida's population and tourism was a fraction of what it is today.
When I started to work in my career, I think there were about 2.5 million population in the state, and maybe about 10 million or less coming and going. Of course, the tourists didn't go much further than Silver Springs and Gatorland and all that.
As Florida grew, so did the need for fire prevention and protection. Harold was one of only 5 state foresters when he started and rose through the ranks to become Chief of Fire Control. One of his first goals was to build offices and a network of fire towers across the state.
And of course, we'd build towers as we put the land under protection. We had to have detection of the fire first, you know.
Harold led the campaign to place every Florida county under fire protection programs. This included the then controversial practice of prescribed burning. These burns not only protect against wildfires, they also help renew the forest by controlling undergrowth, promoting plant diversity, and creating wildlife habitat. Harold's rural fire protection plans became a model followed by many other forestry organizations across the country. Today, Florida foresters appreciate Harold's early advocacy of prescribed burning as a forest management tool and recognize the tremendous benefits to the state's ecosystem.
You know, not only for the pine trees, but for the undergrowth, the wildlife, the gophers, the snakes, all the way up to the deer and the hawks, and, you know, from bottom to the top.
Harold's leadership in fire control won him a Bronze Smoky Award from the USDA Forest Service. He also served on the state's Land Acquisition Selection Committee, recommending conservation and recreation land purchases to the governor and cabinet. In 1987, Harold was appointed state forester and director, and 2 years later presided over the planting of the 5 billionth tree seedling in Florida.
2 years before I retired, '89, I celebrated the planting of the 5 billionth pine tree. Now, if you talk about 600 or so seedlings to an acre, that's a lot of acres.
Harold calls that milestone the highlight of his career, since those billions of seedlings have become trees that have fueled the state's forestry business. Harold retired in 1991 after 41 years of state service and built a Cracker-style home on his own certified tree farm and stewardship forest in Gilchrist County. Lynetta Greiner is a neighbor and longtime friend. Forestry has been in her family for over 100 years.
And the forest industry itself has benefited from his leadership and his vision. And today it's a $25 billion industry in Florida, and it's one of Florida's best kept agricultural secrets, in my opinion.
Harold's involvement with the Society of American Foresters led him to his next career. He became a congressional liaison for the agriculture industry, working with U.S. Congressman Alan Boyd for 14 years.
The connections he had the relationships he had, the way he was respected by those around the industry was extremely important, and nobody did it better than Harold.
Now 91, Harold still enjoys consulting with much younger foresters like Eric Handley in the field and staying up to date on the latest technology.
Now we have, $1 million worth of equipment on every job, and you have to produce, you have to grow a lot more wood, you have to produce a lot more wood, because in order to make a living doing it, you have to be as efficient as possible.
Harold's wife, Juanita, passed away after more than 50 years of marriage. Today, Harold lives with their daughter, Patty Booth, in Tallahassee. While he may be known as a world-class forester, those who know him best say Harold is an even better friend and father.
I have never heard him be unkind. I've never heard him say negative things about people. He's just a very compassionate person that has shared with everybody.
And it is his love of nature he especially enjoys sharing with the next generation.
He can still talk to you about the beauty of the trees, the wildlife, and he lives it. It's just part of him, and he's such an old-fashioned dose of honesty and humility and integrity.
From the first pine trees he planted in Trenton, Harold Mikell has devoted his life to Florida forestry and agriculture, with tremendous success along the way. As a mentor to many, he has made a lasting impact on those in the industry, as well as the industry itself. And he doesn't plan on stopping now.
I told somebody I have a little eye trouble, a little ear trouble, and sometimes I don't walk very well, but other than that, I'm 100%. So until they lay me down, I can't give it up.